Greetings, M Squared here. In this video, we are going to classify triangles by sides and by angles. The first thing we want to know is what is a triangle? So the official definition is a closed figure with three sides. And the reason we say closed is because if I had like three lines right there, you could say it kind of has three sides, but it's not closed. So if we took that guy off and made it a closed figure, it would make a triangle. So a triangle is a closed figure with three sides. So this should all be review, but in case you need a little review, we'll go through this. You classify triangles by sides or by angles. For sides, it's all about how many sides are congruent. So if no sides are congruent, we call that a scalene triangle. If two sides are congruent, at least two sides are congruent, we call that an isosceles triangle. If all sides are congruent, we call that an equilateral triangle. Now, an equilateral triangle has at least two sides congruent, so it is also isosceles, just to let you know. All right, so that's by sides. What if we wanted to classify them by angles? So on angles, there's four options. If all of them are acute angles, and remember, acute angles are angles that are between 0 and 90 degrees. So if all of the angles are acute, we call it an acute triangle. If we have one angle in the triangle that is a right angle, which is a 90-degree angle, that's what that little box right there represents, we call it a right triangle. If one of the angles in the triangle is obtuse, remember obtuse means between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. So this angle right here is between 90 and 180. We call that an obtuse triangle. If all of the angles are congruent, and we would have that shown like that, we would say that that is an equal angular triangle. So the next part in your notes is just going to be to try to determine what kind of triangles you see. So this triangle has two angles that are congruent and one that's got a little box, which means it's 90 degrees. So right away, I know it's a right triangle because of that little box. And it also has two sides that are congruent, so I know that it's an isosceles triangle. So we would call this one, if we were classifying it by its sides and angles, which is the goal, we would say it's an isosceles right triangle or a right isosceles triangle. Doesn't really matter which one. This one here, I don't know if you can see it, but all the angles are equal and all the sides are equal. That means it's an equilateral, equiangular triangle. So equilateral and equiangular. It's hard to abbreviate on that because they start with the same thing. All right, on this one, we notice that we have two sides that are the same, so that means it's isosceles. All the angles are acute. So we say that is an isosceles acute triangle. This one, all sides are the same, all angles are the same. So again, it's an equilateral, equiangular. This one doesn't have anything marked, but we can tell that one of the angles is obtuse, and it's pretty obvious that all the sides are different. So we would say that's a scalene obtuse or an obtuse scalene triangle. This one, we see a little box right here. That means it's right. All the sides are different, so we know it's scalene. This one, we see that two sides are the same and that we have an obtuse angle. So it's an isosceles obtuse triangle. And this one right here, it's got a little box, so we know it's a right triangle. And we look at the sides, we notice that they're all different, so we know that that's going to be scalene. So that finishes up our notes on that. The next part that you will want to do is do the little activity. If you open up your online textbook and go to topic 7 and go to the section that says a triangle or not, go to page 2 and there's a little activity that I want you to do so you can answer the question, can any three lengths make a triangle? So that's all for this video. M Squared signing out.